Right then, welcome to 2uptop football here live on YouTube. Well, recorded live anyway. And my name is Alex Osborn. You may recognise me from doing some of the shows here with the two gentlemen sitting to my right, probably your left. We've got one Stephen Cotton and one Gav Mac. Hello, boys. And we're going to try this again. We tried it a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out. But this time we're confident we're going to get this out on our first and premiere show on YouTube. So look out for more exciting content to follow. Really, it's an exciting time for the Top boys here. Obviously, every Sunday, again, reiterate, we are live on Facebook. You know, we do it from the pub down in the Mail Coach here in Northampton, sunny Northampton, rainy Northampton.
Gorgeous weather,
isn't it? Yeah. But main show, as you can see from the graphic, is we're going to just preview the Premier League weekend coming up after the international break. We'll go through each game. Tell us a little bit. We'll share our thoughts on the games, and hopefully we can have a bit of fun doing it and see how close we come to making you guys enjoy the games over the weekend.
And hopefully your pocket as well. Gamble responsibly.
Obviously, don't hold us responsible for that. But if we feel like we can give a little bit of tips for what we think on the games, then we've got plenty of stats here and knowledge. The boys are very clever here when it comes to football. So yeah, without further ado, we'll go straight into the first game. Oh, and one last thing actually before we go any further, as we do more and more shows here, guys. Any ideas, any things you'd like us to discuss about the show, about the football, about anything, please leave them in the comments below, and we'll happily try and incorporate anything that you guys want us to do. So, without further ado, Everton West Ham. This game on paper looks like it could be, looking at the table, Everton are in the bottom three, West Ham are fifth, I think, looking at the table. But certainly the roles have been reversed. Usually it's West Ham struggling and Everton going, pushing up in the top half of the table. And our favourite segment of 2uptop is What Are Everton? Yeah. So, boys, what are your initial thoughts on this game?
I think we said at the start of the season I've called Marco Silva out being a fraud, and I think they won 2 on the bounce or something, and kind of almost proved me wrong. But they've lost their last 4 Premier League games, Everton.
Is it worth saying that he's a good manager to try and get him out?
No. Those words did not leave my mouth.
I don't think you could force them out of him.
I genuinely think they're in a lot of trouble. They've spent a lot of money. I couldn't say, other than maybe, even Richarlison's not performing. I don't think there's any one player in that squad you could look at and go, well, you'd have him at your club, wouldn't you?
I think with Moise Keane, it's so frustrating watching how good he was last year, especially the end of the last season when he was starting to get a lot more game time for Juventus. And every time he's played for Everton this season, he looks quite exciting. But he's not given a decent run of games. They keep going with Calvert-Lewin through the middle.
Yeah, he hasn't. Even though he's looked exciting, he looks threatening. He hasn't really. From my memory, he hasn't scored yet, has he?
But is that come off the back of just getting 10 minutes here, 20 minutes here, rather than getting some genuine 3 games on the spin, 90 minutes?
We'll put it up to the natural striker out of the 3 of us who's playing.
Do you know
how would you, as a striker, would you prefer getting a game against tired legs, or would you prefer being?
No, you want to start. You want to start. I think they should be able to fit him in as well. It should be Richarlison out on a wing and Keane through the middle. And I think we've said on the show a few times, especially the minute Everton go a goal down, what are their tactics? Because there's 3 or 4 games this season they have finished a game with Keane, Richarlison, Iwobi, and Calvert-Lewin as a fork.
Yeah, and Bernard.
And dipping in somewhere, and yet they're still not making an impact. I'm not going on a Souness rant, but we've always said, when big clubs sell players, there is a reason. We were all insanely shocked and surprised when Keane was even touted as going on loan to Everton from Juve.
Yeah.
When we found out it was a deal and there was no buyback, it raised several eyebrows.
A few flags.
Is it just a case of he had a good few games for Everton off the bench and that was it, or is he? He's clearly playing in a bad team at the minute, so that's not going to help. But is he all that?
I would like to think he is, based on any time he's played for the national team, he's looked good. Any time he's played for Juve, he's looked pretty shiny and bright. and he's still a child. You know, he's what, 19, 20?
Moved to a brand new country, which can't be easy as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's strange to think of a black player coming from an Italian side because it's from Italian nationality. And from what I remember rightly, there has been a bit of a hit and miss when it comes to Italian players coming into the Premier League. Isn't it? I mean, think of some of the ones that have failed. Like I remember, was it Aquilani for Liverpool? He failed.
Yeah.
Balotelli.
Yeah, Balotelli. He was kind of mercurial, wasn't he? I'd say he performed in some games, but really on the whole, he kind of didn't, did he? I mean, City.
But under City, yeah, not for Liverpool.
Darmian, yeah.
I don't like talking about Darmian.
I mean, I suppose would we both say the best Italian import would probably been Gianfranco Zola?
Yeah, of course. No, there's some players that didn't get a chance to, or either came through at the end of their career. Players like Vialli, bit too late. Ravanelli, bit too late. You know, but when they were in Italy, they were fantastic. But on the flip side, West Ham, I weirdly like West Ham, and I don't know why. I think it's because my dad left Arsenal and went over to West Ham. You know, that's probably why. He's not my dad, but he might be. No. So West Ham, it's still early in the Premier League season to decide whether they are going to be hanging around in there or not. But they've lost, I think they've dropped 7 points from winning positions so far this season. The last time they were out, they lost 2-1 from a leading position against Palace. So we always ask that question, what's our Everton? But can we ask that question about West Ham?
Yeah, I'd say this season definitely, because I watched who were they playing when they lost to Palace, and they weren't really an attacking threat, and they weren't really a defensive unit, and it was kind of watching it being like, I don't know what's. One thing I would say from West Ham, as good as they have been this season, I'm surprised that their key man hasn't been Felipe Anderson.
Yeah.
I haven't seen enough from him this year. Last season, he was probably their best player. He was one of the best wingers in the Prem. Haven't seen him all this season. They really need to get him going.
If anything, they're probably their best player has been that Sebastian Haller.
He's
a favourite of ours.
I like him. Yeah.
We all like him. Some big money was spent on him over in the summer transfer window from.
He came from the Bundesliga.
Was it Eintracht Frankfurt? Wasn't it? It was Frankfurt, wasn't it? So they spent some big money on him, and so far it's proven to be money well spent. Now, going into this game, West Ham are actually unbeaten away from home so far in the Premier League, and actually that run extends back 6 games, which is their longest run unbeaten away from home since 2009. However, on the flip side, Everton, this is their most successful fixture in the Premier League because they've won more Premier League games against West Ham than any other Premier League fixture. That's 25 games they've won, and they've also scored more goals against West Ham than any other Premier League side as well, which is 83. So, with all of that said, the forms of both teams, the international break, how do we see this one going?
3-0 West Ham.
1-1 draw.
Honestly, Everton are atrocious at home. They're on the back of four pastings. West Ham travel well. Can't see anything past it.
Yeah. I can leave that out of my hacker snip.
I'm going to go with a West Ham win. I don't know whether it'll be 3-0, but I reckon West Ham will win. It'll be interesting to see if there's any injury news, as with all the fixtures coming out of the international break. Well, that's the early kick-off sorted out on Saturday, so guys, obviously keep your eyes out for that on your rackers if you do it. We don't suggest sticking that early on to be an early hacker ruiner.
Oh yeah, never bet on the early game.
Next game we go to, which is the first of the 3 o'clock kickoffs. We're going in alphabetical order here, and it's Aston Villa versus Brighton. Now, Aston Villa coming off the back of an emphatic win last time out against Norwich, 5-1 away from home, and Brighton. They
had a half decent win as well,
didn't
they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 3-0 win. So this is a game of both teams obviously on form, and I believe both sides are doing all right in the league as well. If I just get the table up
I won't
here.
worry too much about the league. We're early.
I know we're only early,
9
but
games.
9 games. We worry on 10.
Yeah.
Look at Sheffield Wednesday from 98-99.
Well, actually, it's quite fun. This is quite apt because they're Brighton are 14th and Villa are 15th, so an early 6-pointer if you want to look at it that way. But early initial thoughts on this game?
Well, I think like Brighton, even though they did pretty well against Spurs, you know, they look really good. You know, Connolly, I expect him to do more in the international break. To be honest, like he didn't start unfortunately, but he was promoted from the under-21s just for this game. he could be a bright spark in what we could see, but then Tyrone Mings as well. He had a really good international break. Ignore what happened on outside of what the Bulgaria-England game, more what actually in terms of the game was solid. And I really like Tyrone Mings anyway. He's a strong centre half, and I think defensively that Villa have got an opportunity to start shoring things up a little bit. We all know that Grealish is a key man. John McGinn is absolutely fantastic. I worry about Wesley. I don't think he's a Premier League striker, even though he might have scored 2 against Norwich last time out. But one of them, well, both of them, I would say, really poor defensive errors from Norwich. But the amount of creativity that Villa have got, I think it'll just be a little bit too much for Brighton.
I think Brighton looked good against Tottenham because Tottenham couldn't have made anyone else. They'd have made us look good. That's how poor Tottenham were.
I'm coming out of retirement.
Villa have only lost one of the last 5 games. They're not any mugs. I think Villa will win it. I completely have. I don't mind Wesley. I think if he hits the gym a little bit, he could be a tank. He's got the right height and the right frame.
Yeah. He looks like he should be a bit of a bully. I think I think I've said it on the show before. 3 clubs have signed big, burly, mixed-race strikers. You've got Wesley at Villa, you've got Joe Linton at Newcastle, and then you've got Haller at West Ham. And I think West Ham have won that battle there. I think Joe Linton is a fraud, and I think Wesley is. I think he might be all right, but he's someone who, for me, would do well in France.
Or Belgium, where he's
or Belgium, yeah.
I think he's doing all right for Everton. I think he's doing the job. He might have a case of the Lukaku about him where he will score you 2 goals, but you're already 8-0 up.
Yeah.
When you do it.
So, where do we think this key battle is? Because obviously both sides are in form. They're going to be confident going into this game. Probably, and they're, as you can see from as we said on the table, they're 14th and 15th, so they're very round each other, and that's 8 games in. Obviously, we wait until the 10-game mark. But where's the key battle in this game?
I think it's a case of not necessarily a key battle, it's keeping 2 names quiet. And for Brighton, they need to keep McGinn quiet, and for Villa, they need to keep Connolly quiet. And if they're able to do that, to be fair, it'll probably end up being a damp squib 0-0 draw. But those 2. The level of confidence that Connolly will have after scoring a brace on his starting debut against Tottenham Hotspur, and then being promoted from the under-21s to the national side. No, he didn't bag, but it's still that confidence level. He could take that into league form. So if Villa could keep him quiet, I think that's where they'll succeed.
I think attacking players, because I think you look at Villa, they've got McGinn, they've got Grealish, they've got Wesley. So you look at Brighton and you worry if they're going to score goals. I know they scored 3 against Spurs, but like I said, Villa aren't no mugs at the back. I can't see anything other than a Villa win, and I think it'll be pretty comfortable for them.
Do we think that with the extra international players that now these clubs are now experiencing, with Tyrone Mings going as an example on international duty with England, and Aaron Connolly with Brighton, is that going to disrupt them, maybe having not had that experience before? Where their players are still there around during the international break. Is that going to disrupt this potentially for both clubs, do you see?
I don't think it should be a problem, and in this day and age it shouldn't be, because I don't think there isn't a Premier League team. I could happily say this. I don't think there's a Premier League team that doesn't have at least 3, 4, 5 internationals. That shouldn't be the case anymore. Back in the 90s, 2000s, when every England player played for United, Arsenal and Liverpool, I could understand why that they'd be worried about their players coming back and not being fresh. But everyone's got international players. Every team in the Prem this week had players out.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be a problem.
I wouldn't have thought it'd be a problem either, and I think if anything, it will actually enhance their confidence. San Marino, but McGinn bagged a hat-trick.
Yeah.
So he's going to be coming back off that flying rather than thinking,
I'm tired. Yeah.
I would have thought.
So, coming into this game, the head-to-head between the sides, Villa have actually never lost a competitive game against Brighton in 11 meetings in the league, having won 8 of them. However, the last time these 2 teams met in the league campaign was back in the Championship a couple of seasons ago, and both of those fixtures, home and away, ended in a draw. So, with all of that said, where do we see this one going?
Can't see it changing. Can't see the trend changing. I think it would be. I think both teams will score. I'm going to go 1-1 again.
Lost that fence, you see.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Villa, but I'm going to say Villa both teams to score.
Yeah.
Both teams score. I'm going to go just for devil's advocate. I'm going to say Brighton are going to pull out a victory there. On this one. Well then, moving on to the next game. As you can see on our lovely little graphic here, is Bournemouth versus Norwich. So, Bournemouth have been a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde side, as always. Bournemouth are, aren't they? Eddie Howe seems to get them to play some nice football, but then they lose a couple of games where you look at the game of the fixture, you think, oh, I'm going to stick them on Mayaka, they'll win that game, and they end up losing 5-0. So that would be Bournemouth for you, and then Norwich. Other than that result against Man City, where they played incredibly well, and it was come out of the blue because they had injuries galore into that game. They've taken the battering off the Villa last game out, as we've just mentioned, and they've conceded a hell of a lot of goals. I think they conceded the most goals in the league so far today because Daniel Farke has Norwich playing that expansive way. And we're as neutral fans, you love it because it's entertaining, but as a Norwich fan, you must be thinking, oh God, if we carry on this way, then we're not going to stay up. So, what are we thinking here?
I think that game against City, as great as they were, it was such an anomaly for their season. In the case of when Norwich play teams around them and they play teams like Bournemouth, there isn't the non-fear factor they had against City. Even when we play against City, you think, right, damage imitation. Like when they went and attacked, what's the worst that can happen when you're Norwich against City?
Yeah.
But in games like Bournemouth, in games like against Villa and stuff, like the other week, there wasn't that gung ho. Okay, well, let's go out there and do what we can. Against Villa, they did look shaky and scared defensively. They didn't look like they wanted to create much. They just wanted to contain, and I think that's going to be the problem with their season. It's all well and good. These are two teams that both rely heavily on their philosophy and their style of football.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always win you points. Teams, the Arsenal teams of the past who were playing beautiful football weren't winning league. It's the same thing about staying up, and I think that's where Norwich might be in a bit of a sticky situation this year. Football's lovely, but when you're not winning games, what's the point?
Yeah, Timu Pukki seems to have fallen off the boil a little bit. Even that Villa game, he had a couple of opportunities where he didn't really look who was at the races, and it was Dermot who actually scored the consolation goal. I want to take a moment and pay a little respect to Josh King, because I don't think he gets the props that he deserves. I think he's an absolutely fantastic footballer. He could play on either side of the wing, he could play through the middle, he'll take all your pens, he scores goals in open play, he links up any move. I think he is a real key man for Bournemouth, and I don't think he ever gets the respect he deserves. People always bang on about, they've got my boy Brooksy, they've got Callum Wilson, they've got Ryan Fraser. Ryan Fraser's not starting games at the moment.
Is that because of the whole contract issue and him? There was a lot of speculation over the summer about bigger clubs coming in for him. Arsenal was certainly linked with him, and I think he was on record as saying that he wouldn't be adverse to a move like that, as obviously in a professional football would be. They'd be looking to move on to the next level. Do you think that's a result of that speculation? I mean, as I understand, his contract runs out at the end of this season.
Runs out at the end of the season, but it will come off the bench. But he's not starting these games. So I'm thinking that the level of influence that people like Josh King are having aren't warranting the need for Ryan Fraser. One thing that I don't like about Bournemouth is that I keep playing Dominic Solanke.
He's awful.
He is not at the races. I feel for him, because for the Chelsea youth side, he was looking pretty good, and he got the move to Liverpool, and everyone thought, they might start floating a couple of kids and whatever. But any time he started or any time he featured for Liverpool, he just wasn't there, and we thought maybe Bournemouth is his level. There's no disrespect to Bournemouth, but Bournemouth are not a top six side. They're not in the upper echelons of the Premier League. So maybe a player like Solanke could have gone there and established himself, and he really hasn't.
If the Ryan Fraser thing is a case of his contract's running out and they've had a dispute, that is the most prime example of cutting off your nose to spite your face in football. He's arguably one of their best players,
Yeah.
I think he was their best player last season.
Yeah.
If they're leaving him out because he won't sign a new contract, then sell him in January. Then, if that is the case, sell him in January.
Make some money.
There's no point in you having a player on the bench that isn't happy and you not wanting to play a player because of the current situation. That's ridiculous.
So, both teams have yet to keep a clean sheet in the Premier League yet this season. So, I mean, we're saying 0-0 for this game. I mean, always the way. It's always the way. But
I think Bournemouth are actually going to slap them.
Is there any reason for this game not to have any goals in it?
I'm saying both score, no draw. I couldn't tell you which way it's going to go.
I can't see anything past the Bournemouth win. I think Norwich may score, but I think Bournemouth, they're so good on the break. I could see it being 3, maybe even 4-1.
So are we saying that the strongest suit on the field is Bournemouth's attack out of everybody?
I don't think Norwich are able to bring any strength to that game, because you can't even mention Pukki in that. He scored 6 goals in the Premier League so far, yes, but that was in the first
2 games.
Yeah, the first couple of games, wasn't it? I can't see Norwich doing anything in this game.
No, I'd say both score, no draw. But if I have to, I'd say Bournemouth.
Cool. So the next game we've got coming up here is Chelsea versus Newcastle.
I've put Chelsea Norwich twice there.
So Norwich pulling double duty, but no, we'll get that resolved. But Chelsea Newcastle. Coming into this game, Chelsea have had a fairly decent run of form, I believe, but they're still conceding goals at a high rate. However, both all the England youngsters in the Chelsea squad have obviously been called up to the side. Tammy Abraham did play a little bit of football in the first game. Mason Mount played in both fixtures, if I remember rightly. And Callum Hudson-Odoi, our boy, who we love, scored 2 goals for the under-21s midweek. Both of those goals, I don't know if you guys
worldies.
Were absolute class goals. So they have got a bit of form coming behind them. Newcastle have kind of flattered to deceive, I think, a little bit this season. I mean, they took the lead against Liverpool. They ran Arsenal close, but then they've also lost some games really where they probably shouldn't have done. So
they won their last time out though, didn't they?
Oh,
okay.
We'll come to Man United later on in the video. But where do we see this one? What's going on with this game? It's
as much as Chelsea have been conceding silly goals, Newcastle have scored 5 all season.
There you go.
Chelsea.
Is that because of Steve Bruce? Is that because of
no,
Steve Bruce, or
the players they've got?
The
players they've got. Let's not forget. Everyone bangs on about Rafa and stuff. Steve Bruce isn't the one that signed Joelinton.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Rafa wasn't the one that signed Maximin, and he looks like their best player. One of their best players this season. Chelsea, on the other hand, completely gone against my expectations. I thought they'd fall apart this year. I thought they'd be absolutely stuck with the kids and be in trouble, but they seem to be flying. I can see Chelsea absolutely stuffing them.
So we're saying that Frank Lampard so far is doing a good job?
I don't think it's been
tested. Or is it because we've underestimated the talent that Chelsea have and actually?
Yeah, I think it's too early to say. They could fall apart now, and the inexperience of youth, they might not be able to take a whole 38-game season on. The one thing I would say, it's going to sound like I'm being really bitter, but I'm not. I'm just being a realist. Getting quite sick of it's great that they're bringing that Chelsea are bringing the youth through. This is a club that for the last 15-20 years have solely brought European players, African players. We're only using English players now because they got a transfer ban for meddling with kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do find it very the same media that a year or two ago were complaining about Chelsea's transfer policy are now lauding them for using the kids. They've got no other choice.
I can't see Chelsea playing this batch of players next year
of course not.
When the ban's over. If they do, and they bring in a couple of external players to add to what they've already got, then I will just take my hat off and be like, do you know what, Chelsea, fair play. You've got a new mould, and you've got a new idea and a direction of where you're going. I think you're right, Stephen. I can't see. They would not be doing this right now if they didn't have a plan.
Yeah, exactly. I
mean, look, they bought Pulisic in January, right? Fully knowing, I don't know whether
they
knew the ban was coming.
I think they did. I think that's why they did it.
They bought him in a position where they had obviously Callum Hudson-Odoi, Willian, but mainly obviously Hudson-Odoi, and yet it's clear to me that I
I've
think
also purchased.
I think Hudson-Odoi is a better.
And what
player
happened
than
with that
Hudson.
situation last year when Hudson-Odoi said that he wanted to leave because he wasn't getting game time?
Yeah,
So
there
he
you go,
started
yeah.
the next 3 games to keep him quiet,
Yeah.
and then he was back out the squad just as quick.
Yeah, but like since his injury, he's come straight back in. He started the game last
Well,
time out,
I
and I
mean-
wasn't expecting that. You know, give him a chance to get his feet back into things. I'd say.
I mean, I would have been if I was a Chelsea fan, and I clearly not. But if I was a Chelsea fan and Hudson-Odoi hadn't have come back in, especially as Lampard had been playing Abrahams, Mason Mount, Tomori, who else have they got? Younger players they've got. Well, they were supposed to Ross Barkley.
They've got James.
Reece James, I think he's on. Is he on loan or is he?
No, they're just waiting for him to come back in.
I would have been annoyed because out of the lot, I think Hudson-Odoi is the most talented out of the group of players they've got there. So it would have been strange for him not to play when he comes back. Now, looking at some of the stats before this game, Chelsea haven't lost to Newcastle at home in the Premier League yet at all. However, Newcastle have only won just one of their away last 25 games away in the Premier League coming into this fixture.
Oh, there you go. So Newcastle have won one of the last 25 away games.
Yeah.
Okay.
However,
is that Steve Bruce's fault?
No.
No. But this is what annoys me as well. The hate on whoever's in charge of Newcastle because it's not Rafa. Rafa wasn't that great for him either.
He was never a big fan.
Saved them from
He saved
relegation
them,
rather
but you look
than
at the
actually took him.
Was it
on
off
next
the
level.
back of when because Newcastle fans didn't expect him to be their manager when they were in the
Yeah, I think
Championship?
that's it.
And that is obviously a good bill, isn't it? But having said all of that, Chelsea have got the worst home record out of anybody in the Premier League. They've only won 5 points out of the possible
24. Not 24. 12.
12 points. Yeah, so they've not got a great home record, but everything points to Chelsea winning this game. I mean,
Chelsea have won 5 of the last 6 between the two of them, so
yeah,
I can't see it changing.
Are we all just going to go Chelsea victory here and move on?
Yeah, I think the only thing Newcastle can do in this game is a little bit like how they set up against Manchester United and how they set up against Liverpool and just play 5 at the back. But I think, well, when Chelsea have to face against another team that are playing 3-5-2, 5-3-2, however you want to look at it, and that was Wolves, Chelsea matched them in terms of formation and just steamrolled them. Yeah. So I think if they are looking at any previous videos, they'll see that Newcastle have done that, and I think they'll just do the same Chelsea, and they'll put Azpili as a right wing back, Alonso as a left wing back, who is a way better left wing back than he is a left back, and he'll just terrorise it.
Is there anything that Newcastle can do? Could they pull any surprises there? Could Steve Bruce over the international break
get 7 people sent off, get 5 people sent off, and get the game abandoned 3-0?
Could they self-scouting and think, you know what, let's try and throw Chelsea a wrench here into their plans, or is it just a smooth sailing?
No, get 5 people sent off to take the 3-0 defeat. That's the only thing that they can do.
I mean, the only thing you'd say is if you try not to concede, if they do concede early doors, attack them. I wouldn't sit back against Chelsea. Attack. Their defence is clearly shoddy.
Yeah.
There's
goals to be had, isn't there?
In fact, they might want to come out early doors and attack. And if you concede, it's what I mean. We expect Newcastle to concede, right? So why not come out and attack Chelsea? If you do concede, you do concede. Oh well. But if you can nick an early goal against that raggedy Chelsea defence, you could sit back. And I tell you what, if Newcastle go 1-0 up, they'd still take a draw out that game against Chelsea. So it's not the end of the world. But I'd say Chelsea.
So next game is an intriguing one up at Leicester. It's Leicester versus Burnley. Leicester coming off, I believe it was the last game they lost 2-1 against Liverpool in controversial sort of circumstances with the penalty given in the last minute with the foul on Mane. And Burnley are actually doing really well this season. They're up there in, I think they're currently in the European spot. So. However, I think we can all agree here that on paper Leicester are probably the stronger side, and they're one of my favourite teams to watch on a weekly basis. They've got some really good players playing for them, and the manager is a pretty decent manager as well. But we'll start off with this one. I mean, are we seeing anything else other than the Leicester win here?
I'll tell you what I love about this game. 2 honest teams playing 4-4-2. And I miss 4-4-2.
Mike Bassett.
You know, it's But it's true though, isn't it? You know, 2 banks of 4 with a little bit of creativity, you know, in the middle of the park and a little bit of defensive grit as well. Both teams have got that. Jeff Hendrick, very creative. People don't really talk about him as much as they should. We've got 2 solid boys up top who know exactly how to play with each other, so to speak, in woods and barns. You know, like they know each other's game. It's great, and they've got Jack Cork who can chop people in the middle of the park.
And if we go on to the same with Leicester, as you say, they're 2 central midfielders. If we call them central midfielders, you've got Maddison, who's their creative spark.
We all love.
And do you know who's been better for Leicester this season than Maddison? Indeed, he's probably the second best CDM in the Prem behind Kante at the minute.
I'll probably say he is the best CDM in the Premier League right now.
I would be very, 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 very surprised if there is not a few bids in for him in January. I
can't see Leicester wanting to get rid of
anybody. I don't think they'd want to
get
rid of him, but
I reckon they'll be all right. But like, yeah, you're right on that. Both teams have they have a very similar system, so technically they just cancel each other out. However, the quality the quality of Leicester against like in comparison to the quality of Burnley, I think they just.
Do you know the one thing I can see being a problem for Burnley in this game, and I think it's been a problem for Burnley in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, however long they've been in the Prem. When was the last time they had I mean decent, not 5 or 6 goals. When was the last time they had a decent striker at Burnley?
Oh, yeah.
Ever? Well, not ever.
Well, in Championship, it's great when they had Sam Vokes and Danny Ings, you know, bagging. They were happy days then. But
Wood scores every now and then.
Barnes
has dried up a bit, hasn't he? He started the season on fire. He started the season on fire, but then I don't think he scored.
But how many goals did Barnes get you a season?
Well, true, but like if I see where you're coming from, but it's a little bit like how with Newcastle when they had Demba Ba and Papi Cisse. You know, one half of the season, Demba Ba was like, "Hello, I'm here. I'm going to score all your goals," and Papi Cisse couldn't hit a barn door. Second half of the season, flipped it, and like if Barnes scores in the next game or 2, then it could just be a case of them flipping it around. It's the most amount of goals I've seen Burnley score early doors in the season as well, even when they came 7th in the league a couple of years ago.
We've spoken about it before. I think this boils down to Burnley, one of those clubs, and I'm not saying they've got no ambition, and I don't mean this disrespectfully at all. They are one of those clubs that like to consolidate their league position. They don't want to invest too much. I don't think they can break into the top 6. Say, and I think they're quite happy to go the way they're going. Otherwise, when was the last time Burnley made a marquee signing? When was the last time they brought anyone of real note?
They do.
Steve DeFore. What a guy! FM legend.
They're very much a team that lives within their means. Which
that's what I mean.
If you think about it, in which case it shows you that obviously Sean Dyche is doing a very, very good job as manager there.
But could they be doing better?
That's it.
If they were backed, could they be doing better?
And here's another one to be a devil's advocate. If they were playing better football, would they do better?
Yeah, but then that's a clientele situation, isn't it? So then you're spending the money to find some creativity. Or
do we think that Sean Dyche has that in his locker though?
Yeah.
Does he have that?
I think he's a football savvy enough man. He's been up and down the leagues. I think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. When he was at Watford back when, I'm sure Danny will have a couple of words to say. I think he liked him. But I quite liked him when he was at Watford. He was playing some nice football there as well, you know. So like, it's not like he doesn't know how to play good quality football. I just don't think he's got the clientele for it. McNeil, great player. I think he's a bright spark, you know. But other than that, I can't really think of any genuine flair that.
A very
genuine flair.
They're a very functional side. Some little stats here. Since Brendan Rodgers has taken over at Leicester, only 3 clubs have taken more Premier League points since he took over in charge of Leicester, which is Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man City. So you know he's obviously doing a very good job there. Leicester are unbeaten in 6 at home, having won their last 3 by an aggregate of scoring 10 goals and only conceded 2. And Burnley haven't won away from home for 6 games either. So, I mean, all the signs are pointing to a Leicester home win there.
It's going to be a 97th minute penalty for Burnley.
I've just got a feeling here that potentially Burnley might sneak a draw out of this. I don't know why. Maybe Leicester just coming off the back of the international break might be not quite hitting the races. I just got a feeling that Leicester might slip up in this one.
I think Maddison and Vardy are key to this game.
Was that story? Obviously, Madison pulled out of the England squad and then apparently got found in a casino late night.
Yeah.
And also,
which,
Vardy was given compassionate leave because of all the drama in Wagatha Christie.
Yeah.
But what I would say, and I'm not normally I'd go in on Madison for antics like that, but in his defence, if you're when he said he was withdrawn because he was poorly, we don't know whether it was ear infection, stomach, like he could have an ear infection and not want to play, but that doesn't mean you can't not live your life.
And
like,
exactly. It could also have been even for like mental health. Heaven forbid, I hope it's not. But you know, that's also an illness too, as many people around the world suffer from that. So you know, and the pressures of being a Premier League player, you can get to young players as well. So it could be anything. Couldn't it?
Could be a young lad as well.
But you know, obviously it wasn't a great look for him being caught in the casino, and you know, it still baffles me how he doesn't get in the England squad when he is picked. I don't think that's going to help his chances for that. But coming back to the game, where are we saying this one is going? What are we thinking? I mean, I've said that I think Burnley can nick us something.
I think Burnley will need to lay deep. If they have a high line, Vardy's just going to absolutely exploit that. So for me, I still go with the Leicester win. I think they'll win 2-0 as well. I'll go 2-0 Leicester.
I'd say Leicester win.
Cool. Right then. So next game, Spurs versus Watford. Spurs are currently imploding. Watford can't win a game or score a goal. Out of all the games, this probably looks the least appetising to watch. What are we going to say? I mean,
it's going to be 5-4. Just don't know which way it's going to be.
Seven of Spurs' last 8 games have featured 3 or more goals, and there is a Spurs side that have kept 1 clean sheet in 5 home games this season. So, goal fest. I say goal fest. Are Watford capable of doing anything? As poor as Spurs have been recently, Watford have been poorer. Spurs win.
Yeah, Watford are a very bad side. Sorry again, Danny, mate, but they are. They've only scored 4 goals in the Premier League this season. Unfortunately, 2 of those were against Arsenal.
They haven't scored since that game.
Yeah, but they are not with it. They haven't got any. The only good thing going for Watford for me is Sarr, and he's barely playing. Welbeck is not there at the moment. You know, Andre Gray, he is not a Premier League striker. Pereira, fantastic footballer, doesn't really want to be there. You could tell with his demeanour. Same with Dennis Bayer as well. But Tottenham, I think everyone needs to calm down about Tottenham at the moment. They're going through a bit of a bad time. Every team has a blip, and I think Tottenham just need to. This is a perfect game for them to go into, just to be like, right, okay, let's go slap them 3-0 or whatever, and then let's just like get our season back on track. They need to deal with what's happening.
Flip side of that, if they don't win that game, then what?
Then what?
I don't see Poch out. I don't see him lasting the season.
Oh, I can see Pochettino lasting the season. I don't. As I said, I think it's just too cheap from the hip. Too many managers.
When did they go out from the group stage?
They go out from the group stage. As long as they can third, they're still in Europe.
I think that would be the worst thing for Spurs if they don't.
No, I do too, but it's just the way. It's just the football world we're living in, and that'll start around about. So, but yeah, that's another chat for another time, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll review that on Sunday. See where we are.
We'll review that on Sunday. I mean, this doesn't look like a great game, but I think off the back of the international break, it could have come at the right time for both clubs really, just to go again. Basically.
Regroup.
Yeah.
Next game, Wolves versus Southampton. So Wolves have recently won the last couple of games, which has lifted them out of the doldrums of the table. Obviously, early doors, meaning that each string a couple of wins together, and you can find yourself moving up quite quickly. It looked like the European excursions there could be proving to be tricky as it has done with other clubs before them. And Southampton, I quite like their manager, but I don't know if they've got the necessary quality to be a Premier League club for much longer. I mean, is that a fair summary?
Yeah, I said at the start of the season they're going down, and I can't.
You're sticking by that?
I'd stick by it. I wouldn't change my mind, no.
I love Gineppo. I think he's made the wrong decision going to Southampton. I think he's an absolutely fantastic footballer. Wolves, I think they've turned the corner. And this is what I was saying about Tottenham. They just need to get that one game and then they can turn the corner and just get on with the rest of their season. Wolves, last time out, beating Man City. No one expected that. But I think it was all off the back of that Braga game. You know, they've gone to Braga. Braga are a tough side to beat, especially at home, and they've got there, and Willy Bolly's bagged in the 91st minute, and I think it's that there just turned the corner for them.
Well, they've now won their last 3 games in all competition.
Yeah, because they beat Watford as well. And the thing is, the only issue that I've got with Wolves is that they need more players, because not necessarily more players, but they need to rotate their squad more, because you can't just. Well, they did it last season. I don't know how they got away with it, but they used 19 players last year in the Premier League. That is it.
Yeah,
you know,
they can't do that now. They're in Europe as well.
No, exactly. So they've got Petrone. You know, he's got a couple of goals now. So I like Hasenhüttl as well. He did wonders with Leipzig as well.
He's got a very clear, defined way of playing as well.
Yeah.
And Southampton seem to have bought into it. However, it just seems like they just don't have the necessary quality.
The thing is, Southampton have got money as well. So
they've sold enough players.
They've sold enough players, but the owners are cash rich. So is it a case of them being like, right, let's see how we are in January, and then we'll give Hasenhüttl some money, or are they going to get rid of Hasenhüttl, which I think would be an absolute backward step, and they would end up going down the route that Stephen thinks. I think I can't. I think it's a Wolves win.
I think it's a Wolves win as well. But
I think they
Southampton
can make it tough.
have failed to score only once this season. So if it's a Wolves win, I'll say Wolves put both to score.
I think they'll need to have best the card back in this game as well.
Southampton haven't got a good record against Wolves in the Premier League, having won 3 of their 4 meetings, but they have also lost 3 of their last Premier League meetings in total. So I think Wolves will win this game, continue their good run of form, and carry on to the rest of the season. The last game on the Saturday slate, we've got the late kick-off there between Palace and City. Palace won their last game 2-1 against West Ham, and obviously Man City come off the back of that loss against Wolves. So Man City.
Last time Man City lost, not the last game obviously, but the time that they lost before that, they come out and they were 5-0 up inside 18 minutes against Watford and going out, running out 8-0 winners. I think Palace will have that in the back of their mind and set up really rigid and not let them through.
Roy Hodgson, he's not one to be. He is known for being conservative at times and being pragmatic, having coached all over Europe, especially in Italy as well. So I tend to agree with Stephen. I think this could be a draw. I've got
2 words for you on why I think it's gonna be a draw. Zaha, Otamendi. Honestly, and that's not just Otamendi again. The other
that would mean that you think that Palace would probably win then, because clearly that's Palace's victory in their books.
I'm saying if I am a gambling man, Palace double chance would be what I'd be looking at. Honestly, if Otamendi doesn't turn up on Saturday, that could not just be the game. That could be City title race done. Because Otamendi has been absolutely shambolic. I think I saw midweek. Did he play midweek? I saw that he got turned inside out like twice again last weekend, and it's just that is the most important matchup, because if I know Zaha will probably be playing out wide, but if he wants to cut in and drive at Otamendi. You've seen it when people nutmeg Otamendi or put it round the side of him. He's not mobile. Yeah. He's on his ass constantly.
He hasn't got the time to turn around, has he? And it'd be, there's more chance of Otamendi lining up against Fernandinho, with Fernandinho as well. And Fernandinho, we all love him, but he's 34 now, and he is not a centre half.
He's not a centre half.
So, like, I think you're right. With 2 attacking wingers, what Palace have done in the past as well, they've gone out 4-4-2 as well, but used Zaha and Townsend as the 2 strikers.
Yeah.
And people have been like, oh, that's a bit defensive, but in this type of game,
I reckon you could see Benteke for some long balls.
Yeah.
With his excellent.
Well, if you think Otamendi's 6'6'1", Fernandinho's 5'11", 6 foot.
Yeah.
What's Benteke? 6'2", 6'3"? Get him up there. Get them balls in.
Yeah.
City, even though they're defensively they're suspect, obviously going forward they still score goals for fun, having scored 13 goals in just their 4 away league games this term so far. Obviously Palace are very well organised. I mean, last time City were on the late game kickoff was it the game against Norwich where they lost?
Yeah.
That was a late game. So you know, the late kickoff again has not proven fruitful for City so far this season. Obviously, it's a small sample size. What are we saying for this game?
I'm saying Palace double chance here. If City are going to win, they're going to need to score 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Just for that.
I can see a high scoring game. I can see it being like 3-2, but I'm going to go in favour of City.
I'm going to go draw. Same. So that rounds off the Saturday game. So obviously, guys, that's looks like it could be some interesting games in that on Saturday. And then moving on to the one game on the Sunday, which is refreshing considering that the last week of the Premier League going into this international fixtures, there was 4 games, 3 of them on at the same time, which was annoying for all of those fans because I think it was Arsenal, Chelsea, and Manchester United all playing at the same time, which was not good for.
Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Man United.
So, but however, looking at the fixture, it is a bit of a mouth-watering fixture for Liverpool fans, if you want to look at it that way. But all neutrals were probably thinking, oh, well, can't see anything other than a Liverpool victory here. What do we think?
Mr. Pessimist over here, right? I'm going to surprise you. I'm saying, I reckon it's going to be a draw.
I've got a weird feeling. No, it's funny you say that because I've got a weird feeling because of all the hype of it. Liverpool win this game, they equal Man City's record of 18 consecutive Premier League games. I can see Man United winning 1-0. I don't know why. It's just there's something in my head that just goes.
Liverpool and under Klopp since Liverpool and under Klopp since 2013-14 haven't won at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
I'm saying this, and
in all winning not in 2009.
In all likelihood, I'm thinking we probably will get pasted. But what I would say is this is one of those fixtures where, especially we're in a terrible period at the minute, and everyone will focus on this. Listen, even in the seasons where we won the double. What we got beat by Liverpool 4-1, and then I think we lost the other game that season to them as well. Liverpool is always a dodgy fixture for us.
Yeah.
Vidic isn't even playing, and I know he's going to get sent off. It's just one of those games. On the face of it, though, there's absolutely light years and dimensions between the two teams at the minute.
Yeah.
I think I also saw earlier today in the news that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has ruled out Pogba of the game as well. So
I don't think it made much of a difference to the side. I don't think so. Just playing that Man United line up at the moment, I can't see what Pogba would have actually brought to.
Do you know what? This is the game he'd have got sent off in. 2 silly challenges and he'd have gone.
One way he's trying to do a weird back pass on the halfway line and just sticks a leg out.
Yeah, takes his time on the ball, thinking I can tackle him. I'm going to please you here because I know you love him, but I think McTominay has probably been United's best player this season.
I've got a stat for you. He's actually our joint top goal scorer.
I said that in the car on the way over. I said that in the car
when I got his name on the back of my shirt this year, I didn't think I was getting myself involved in top goal scorer territory for the club.
McSauce, they call him at Manchester United. I really like McTominay. I said that not last year, at the end of the season before, and I was like, I like this guy. He looks alright.
There's a reason why Mourinho played him. He's very much a Mourinho midfielder, isn't he? Big, strong, physical, can win the battles, win the aerial balls, but he's got a strike on him as the game against Arsenal proved, and he's definitely a player who, when I first thought when he came into United side, I didn't see anything about him.
Oh, I did. I spotted that. I liked him.
Hey, look, I'm happy to prove myself wrong, and
I do think that when we lose to Liverpool, I think the key is going to be midfield. You look at their midfield. When Yalden's on form, he had a great game for Holland the other day.
Yes,
Fabinho's actually been great from this season. Henderson's been alright. They've got Milner to come in. That midfield against Pereira, Mata, McTominay, and Atman.
I think the extra day is going to help Liverpool as well because here's why. Firmino coming back from international duty with Brazil, Liverpool are a better side when he plays, and when he doesn't play, there's a difference because of the role he plays, bringing in Salah and Mane. It's almost. I'm not saying that he is or the quality, but it's very much that Bergkamp role where he will be withdrawn. He'll bring the space in for those two guys, and he'll supply them with the balls. And he's an excellent link up between their midfield because I think we can agree their midfield is more industrious than it is like creative.
Yeah,
so,
100%.
However, as we've got a few stats here, Liverpool's 4 Premier League games so far this season, all their victories have only come by their single goal margin. I think their last away fixture was against Sheffield United, where they only won 1-0, and that was a
Yeah,
goal. That was a
poor
goal.
old Hendo,
That was a goal
yeah.
late on in the game, wasn't
Yeah,
it? Was it
80
like
minutes.
80
Yeah,
minutes,
I feel
wasn't it?
really sorry for Sheffield United that day. I can't see how Manchester United are going to be able to keep Robertson and Trent quiet.
Wan-Bissaka.
Is he going to be back for this game?
I hope
But
so.
but then okay, if he is back, then that's one side covered. Ashley Young.
I'd stick Dallo in there.
Oh, I
He's the
can't
only one
see
who can
it.
cross the ball. Look, honestly, I think we'll get pasted, but I think not. The only way I can see it being a draw, and the way I think it'll be a draw, is not because we'll match them. I just think it's one of those games that, for a long time, hasn't lived up to its expectations. Even last season when they
It's
were on
always
a roll,
tight
what was it, 0-0, and it was just the dullest. Yeah.
I think that genuinely the last barnstormer game between Liverpool and Man United, where it wasn't like either 0-0 or 1-0 or Liverpool winning 4-1 or United winning heavily, I think there was a game in the mid-90s where it was like 3-3, I think.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, even though last
they've
few
always
wins,
Is that Nigel Clough?
potentially, yeah.
the only ones I can really think of is Mata scored the scissor kick when Gerrard got sent off after 30 seconds.
Oh yeah.
And then there was one before that where I think Rooney scored a header in like the 80th minute, or it was just a sloppy goal and we won 1-0, and that was about it. I haven't got fond memories of this game.
Oh, we'll see what the attitudes are like on Sunday for that one.
I think Liverpool win this.
I'm going to be really hungover from that wedding as well. That's going to be a bad day.
Oh,
I'm going to have a bad 4 weddings and a funeral.
So, that is the one sole fixture on your Super Sunday slate, Manchester United versus Liverpool, and then moving into the Monday night game, which I think is quite an intriguing game. One which I think that could prove to be a bit tricky for Arsenal, and mainly because I have a huge managerial crush on Chris Wilder.
Don't we all here?
We all do.
And giving him 2 weeks to prepare for Arsenal, I feel like he could come up with some unique ways of exploiting Arsenal. Not that it's hard to exploit Arsenal these days. But what do we think on this game, Sheffield United versus Arsenal, Monday night game?
I think it's key that Lacazette is back. There's goals in Lacazette. There's goals in Aubameyang. They've got the width with Pepe, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't like Pepe. You know this. They've got width in Saka. There's defensively as well. Arsenal welcoming back Tierney, who I imagine will start the game. Holding, who I imagine will start the game, and Bellerin as well. So I think it's a bit of a change round for Arsenal.
I will play devil's advocate on Lacazette. Since he's joined Arsenal, he's only scored 2 goals away in the Premier League. So, with obviously away at Sheffield United, do you think that's going to be broken then?
He's also great as a link-up play. He's an amazing target man, considering he's only 5'8". He's very strong. He can. I really like Lacazette, and the partnership that he has when he's working with Aubameyang, I think it's only going to be a benefit for Arsenal.
But do you think when he does play, Aubameyang kind of gets shifted out wide?
They both do.
I was going to say, in Lacazette's defence, he plays left wing 80% of the games for us.
They both do. Even when Lacazette's not playing and Aubameyang is technically playing as the lone striker, he gets dragged out wide as well, and that's because he wants the ball. He wants to go get it. And when he's got someone with the intelligence of Lacazette beside him as well, then they can take it in turn, so to speak, and move around.
I like Lacazette going out wide. It doesn't bother me. I go out on limits to say, even as a striker playing out on the left wing, he's probably your best winger. Just like his link-up play, his support, his finishing. I mean, like you just said about Pepe. Do you trust him when he gets the ball into the box? Do you trust him to play a killer pass?
I don't know Pepe at all.
It's proven so far no, but he obviously carried Lille last year to second place in the league, got him into the Champions League, and obviously earned his big
There was
move,
quite a few decent players in that Lille squad that dragged them. It wasn't just Pepe. There was quite a few.
And out of the 20 goals that Pepe scored, 10 of those from the spot. I don't rate Pepe at all. I think he's a fraud. He's got to prove me wrong. But Sheffield United, I love the way Sheffield United have started this season. They've got people call it a unique way of playing. Brighton actually did the same thing on the opening day of the season with overlapping centre halves. But we all love Chris Wilder, but it's not a unique way. There's 2 teams in the Premier League that are playing that way. and I was there at that Watford Brighton game watching it. I was thinking, what formation? What's he doing all the way up there?
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing was happening. But it just seems that Sheffield United are able to do it in a way which looks so natural to them. And for me, Sheffield United is safe this season. I know it's early doors, but I think they will be safe this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got something out of this game.
I go against that, and I'm literally looking at the two. There's two sets of numbers, and that's all I can say about this game. Arsenal have won 5 of the last 6 matches, and Sheffield United have lost 4 of the last 5 in all competitions. And both those stats are going to get another number added to them. Because Arsenal are going to win 6 of the last 7, and Sheffield United will win 5 of the last 6. Arsenal win. Sheffield United will put up a good fight. It will be regimented, very strict defensively, but that Arsenal front three is just too much.
I think going in Arsenal's favour is the extra couple of days rest with all their players having come back from international break as well. I think that could also work in Arsenal's favour. However, if you ask me, other than the players on the pitch, I think that Sheffield United have the better manager out of the two in the dugouts.
He can't stand him.
But
I don't mind him. I just don't want him at Arsenal.
Leaving my personal opinions aside, that will round up your Premier League slate for the weekend. It's good to have Premier League football back. I think I speak for quite a lot of people.
Yesterday I was at home and my missus said to me, "Are you alright?" And I didn't want to tell her the real reason. I was like, I looked on the telly and whatever. There was no football on, and I was heartbroken. I was like, "Babe, I'm just tired." I wasn't tired. Well, I was a little bit, but I was just in mourning. Yeah, it was just like even I was watching the international stuff. I was thinking it's football still, so it's fine.
Isn't it strange how when the international break is on, they do seem to play football quite. I think it's like from Thursday all the way around.
Yeah, they changed it. Yeah, they changed it on
Wednesday,
purpose.
But even I still think, well, there's no football on really. When it comes back to the Premier League, you're like, we've got the Premier League, we've got the European games coming on, we've got the other leagues going on. It's just, until it
gets to tournament stage,
international football is dead because you get such mismatches. I mean, England beat Bulgaria 6-0, and England didn't even get out of second gear.
And do you know what? Even when we lost as well, I couldn't care.
Yeah. Well, because England are going to qualify. We all know England are going to qualify.
It was a glorified friendly, and we played poorly in it. Yeah. But we've got such a safety net in our group. Every single time we qualify for any competition, you lose a game like that, and it's not like get in there and go, right, boys, we can't afford this next time. And it's like, yeah, you can. You can afford it 4 or 5 times.
I mean, and that leads at least in the Premier League, there's urgency. I know there's 38 games, but pretty much most games mean something. Whereas in international football, it doesn't really. Yeah. And with that bombshell, I think we're going to leave it there. Again, guys, as you can see, please follow us on all the social platforms down on the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, 2uptop football. Please put it into your search bar. Give us ourselves a like. Please share. Please subscribe as well. We're going to be posting more on YouTube. Sundays, live on Facebook, 7 p.m. every Sunday from the Mail Coach. We'll be reviewing all the Premier League games up until that point. We may even get, obviously, another further preview of the game on the Monday night. But please, tune in. It will be hosted by my colleague here, Gav, who will be leading that show. Me and Stephen obviously chip in from time to time. But please, follow us, share, like and subscribe. I will say as well, usually on a Tuesday, maybe sometimes a Wednesday, but our podcast also goes up on iTunes and Spotify on a Tuesday or Wednesday.
And to add on to that as well, a European write-up is done by myself, and that's normally available on by lunchtime on Tuesday, so you can have a little read of that. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for those guys. Again, in the comments, write what you'd like us to talk about. If there's anything specifically you liked or you didn't like about the show, what we could do, what you liked, please let us know, and we'll happily try and incorporate in that.
And we'll make sure that Norwich aren't doing double duty.
Norwich are doing double duty. Yeah. You guys got anything more to say? Got anything to say? Well, I've been Alex. This has been Gav. This has been Steve. Thank you very much for tuning in, and peace out, guys.